Dear Sports, it's been a while since we've seen you in all of your glory. It seems like yesterday we were all getting excited about the start of spring training. I personally was getting excited about March Madness starting up soon and getting ready to fill out my brackets. Things are looking good in sports, and in my world, there's a lot of things to personally be excited about. My Kansas Jayhawks were having an amazing season in college basketball, look to be poised to be one of the favorites to win a championship this year. The Twins looked primed to pick up where they left off from last year's record-setting Bomba Squad to have a pretty promising season this year. The NBA playoffs were fast approaching and just around the corner with the MVP debate heating up between LeBron and Giannis. The Wild were making a playoff push. Even my local college, University of North Dakota, were making a push for a college hockey championship of their own. And I was also getting excited for the NFL offseason to start. I think free agency was just right around the corner. Just to see who the Vikings would sign in free agency and with the draft around the corner as well, to lead a summer of excitement for the NFL season and, getting ready for fantasy football and all those things. But out of nowhere, the world changed quickly and you left with no promise of a return. All it took was one NBA player to catch COVID-19, and the rest of the sports world, it was just a domino effect. And it was crazy to see how fast everything changed. That led to hours and days of panic during that week. Events were being canceled left and right. Seasons were canceled or postponed. And essentially all of us sports fans were just left to wonder, could we really be about to enter a world where there are no live sports going on? It didn't take long, and that wonder turned into a very harsh reality. Sports, in an instant, you were shut down and essentially robbed from our lives. We had to find different ways to, find an escape or, get a distraction and find some entertainment in our lives. It didn't matter what was going on in the real world or, in our personal lives. We could always count on sports to be that distraction and, lift our spirits when we need it most. It's really easy for anyone to fit in to the sports world and feel like you belong. And that's how I personally felt with sports. There's Vikings fans of all backgrounds, of all interests. There's Jayhawks fans, Twins fans. No matter what team you like, the cool thing is there's everyone from the richest in the world to the poorest in the world who support that team every day and just love to look to that team for a source of distraction and entertainment. But sports, in your absence, I kind of got to reflecting on the best moments I've experienced as a sports fan, or really what makes me love sports so much. I personally love going to the games. It doesn't matter if I was sitting in the very first row or all the way up in the nosebleeds. If I was at that atmosphere in that stadium, that's where I want to be. And, it's always a happy atmosphere to me. The cool thing with going to these events is you're all just one big family for that day. Doesn't matter, if you're sitting right next to the same fan of a same team or an opposing team. It's just fun. And, the only thing anyone in that building cares about is what's going on the field. And nothing outside of that stadium matters, essentially, for a few hours, which is just really what I love about it. And even just working in sports, being around college athletic departments and even interning with the Vikings for a training camp a few years ago and having some experiences here and there, that desire and that interest in sports really led to me, pursuing a career in that realm. And, it's what I'm passionate about most. And, it's just amazing, the atmosphere of those events. Everyone is just one big family. And, going to those events is what, created that fandom and essentially made me decide this is what I want to do, is follow sports for a living. And with all that being said, it just feels weird to have no sports going on. And, the last couple months, we've had things here and there, pop up to return or, news here and there to kind of give us a little taste of sports. But, without the four major sports, it's just been weird. No NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, with March Madness being canceled. It all just seems so weird. I would give anything right now to watch the Vikings lose another heartbreaking playoff game, the Yankees sweep the Twins in another playoff series for the millionth time, or even the Kansas Jayhawks get upset by some low seed Cinderella team in the March Madness tournament. As painful as those things are to experience in the moment as a fan, that's what you love most about sports, is kind of that unpredictability, that upset, and, the fact that anyone can win. And to have no sports going on, it's just a weird feeling. So I would much rather see one of those heartbreaking losses than have no sports at all. But the beauty of all those losses is the idea that there's always next year. So, it doesn't matter what happens this season, there's always that chance to improve next year and just, ride that roller coaster all over again every year. And so that hope just keeps you coming back. And, it just feels weird to say that there's always next year, when sports didn't exist and we didn't know when next year would happen or when this year would continue. But now, sports seem to be returning soon. As I'm recording this, next week already, the MLB should be resuming play. NBA at the end of this month. The NHL will start here in August, and the NFL around the corner. So we'll see how it all goes. I'm hoping, like everything, that we can have a smooth start and everything works out as well as they can be. We're still in a pandemic. We still want to avoid as much of that as we can, but sports are a big thing in this world, and they're a big distraction. And in this country, there are some issues, but having that distraction of sports is what brings us together. And it's not necessarily ignoring what's going on in the world; it's just finding that entertainment. And like I said earlier, sports are the great equalizer. So, when there's a live event going on, when you go to a game, you don't think about anything else but the game that you're watching. And that's the same thing if you're sitting at home on TV. So we need sports in our lives, whether you're a hardcore sports fan or even the most casual fan that only watches like one game a month, if that. We all need sports. The one thing that I especially hope for this return to normalcy or some kind of normalcy in the sports world is I hope that the teams and the players and the owners really have realized how much importance the fans play in the sports world. I think a lot of time the fans get taken for granted. When, just in reality, the fans are the reason that sports exist in a lot of different ways. So, I hope that, in the future, these leagues have learned that, in their negotiations to return between owners and players that, you got to learn to compromise for the greater good, to just keep that sport going, keep having seasons in the future, and keep the fans happy and just keep everyone happy. That's really my main takeaway that I hope comes out of this quarantine and these cancellations. But sports are returning soon, and I couldn't be more excited about it. So, I'm excited to watch and comment and make a lot of content on that, in the coming weeks and months as well. But I can't wait for sports to come back, be that great escape, and really be the great equalizer that we all need in the world right now.